This is the third in a series of Facebook Live readings, excerpts from Low Down Dirty Vote, Volume 2. Every Stolen Vote is a Crime, which launched just a few days ago. It's a stunning collection of crime fiction that will raise $10,000 for the Southern Poverty Law Center to help fight voter suppression. My reading tonight follows readings by David Haggerty, Gary Phillips, and Pooja Guha. Tomorrow, Robert Lopresti will read, followed closely by Jackie Ross Flom on the 10th, Madeline McEwen-Asker on the 11th, Marilyn Holt on the 12th. I think Sarah Chen is reading on Bastille Day, though that's not yet been confirmed. The stories contained in Low Down Dirty Vote are each very different, reflecting the diverse writers who contributed and their varied experiences. But each is arranged around the theme, every stolen vote is a crime. The stories here run the gamut of history and geography, stories of disenfranchisement, conspiracy, and murder, held together by the very real threat of voter suppression. Every stolen vote is a crime, or should be. I'm James McCrone, and I'm the author of the Imogen Traeger thriller series, Faithless Elector, Dark Network, and the forthcoming Emergency Powers, out on October 1st. Taut, gripping, and timely political thrillers about a stolen presidency. I'm a Pacific Northwest native, mostly, but I now make my home in South Philadelphia with my wife and 3 children. I'm excited to be a contributor. My work in Low Down Dirty Vote and elsewhere involves politics, about who gets power, why, and what stands in the way. I'm particularly interested in what lies behind official statements and explanations. For those of you who saw the Why We Did It video presentation, you know that I was drawn to write about, to confront election fraud, as distinct from voter fraud as a means of voter suppression. My story here, Numbers Don't Lie, is a deliberately ironic title from a narrator who never reveals his true name and who is bent on falsifying the vote tally in a fictional, if all too real, gubernatorial election. The damage his employers seek to inflict may reach farther than just this one election that he's been hired for. I did extensive research for this story, and unfortunately for the nation, there is no dearth of real-world examples for what happens in these pages. It's not all doom and gloom. I work the polls on Election Day in my hometown of Philadelphia, and I'm pleased to say that nothing like what happens in this story is possible. Probably. But sadly, elsewhere, there's ample evidence that the voting machines that are at the heart of this story would be simple to breach. And a good many states continue to use them. So this is Numbers Don't Lie by James McCrone. I guess I felt bad about it, but not bad enough not to do it. The money was right. The phone call came in 3 days before the election. Are you the consultant? Yes, I said. I was given your number by a mutual friend, the voice said. A plane ticket in the name of James Burnham is waiting for you at the airport. 9:04 flight tomorrow morning. The correct amount has been deposited to your usual account. Half now, half on delivery. I checked my watch. A little over 10 hours to the flight. I typically work with 2 others, I said. Do you have anyone on site, or should I contact my associates for an additional fee? Our mutual friend made us aware of your requirements, and there will be 3 local assets at your total disposal. Our people. A car will meet you at the destination airport and take you to a place where you will meet the assets. Some communication may be necessary. You are to use this number and ask for Mr. Green. It will not be me you speak with after today. For God's sake, stop calling them assets, I wanted to shout at him. This wasn't some cheap spy movie. I didn't like using their people. But you go with the flow. I understand, I said, biting my tongue. Cars, phones, internet, residence? The control center is a residence, said Mr. Green, and it's at your disposal. That's where the car will take you and where you'll meet the assets. It's unencumbered. It was my understanding that you take care of the rest. Yep, I said, just checking. I'm curious how... I'll confirm the deposit, and I'll contact Mr. Green if we need anything. Goodbye. I got right to work. I'd need to make some phone calls, gather equipment, and I'd have to be an expert by the time my flight touched down at 1 p.m. local time. I suppose a consultant shouldn't lament the foolishness that brings about the need for his services, but a review of how and under what circumstances those footing the bill had fucked up can be enlightening. From a self-preservation point of view, identifying blind spots, weaknesses, and outright blunders, and not only those on the side of those you're attacking, can shine a light on future difficulties. Elections were a time to reap what you sowed, for good and bad. Ideally, voters looked at the cases presented during the various campaigns and made their preferences known at the ballot. But we don't live in an ideal world, and that's where I come in, albeit at the 11th hour. Always the 11th hour. The profligacy and stupidity of my employers was breathtaking. It was a state where Republicans had held a lock on the legislature for more than a decade, despite the fact that Democrats outnumbered Republicans by 6 percentage points, which was testament to their craft and diligence. In fact, they not only held on, they thrived. Through gerrymandered districts, deliberately cumbersome voter regulations, and outright disenfranchisement. The major newspapers in the state were reliably compliant, as were roughly 2/3 of the local television affiliates. There hadn't been a Democratic governor for 16 years. But remarkably, they were now all in for one of the least popular governors since Sam Brownback of Kansas, an incumbent who actually seemed to believe his apocalyptic rhetoric. He was in the fight of his life, and my employers, his backers, believed he'd lose. Like Brownback, this incumbent's ideological hard line had crashed the state's economy and foolishly alienated key constituencies. If the party had been smart, it'd have ditched him and put up someone else who would have reliably won. That's what I'd have advocated, but no one asked me. They only called me when the shits hit the fan, and this guy was that. I made some quick calls. If you'd like to read more of Numbers Don't Lie, or any of the other wonderful stories here, pick up Low Down and Dirty Vote, Volume 2, available now on Amazon as an ebook or paperback. Proceeds go to support the Southern Poverty Law Center's efforts to combat voter suppression. Next, on the Low Down Dirty Vote Facebook channel, tomorrow, Robert Lepresti reads from his story, Shanks Gets Out the Vote. Don't miss it. Good night, and thank you very much.